Well, no, it wouldn't be. And they don't
What's
come.
up, people? You're listening and watching the RAPS Talk podcast presented by HipHoopJunkies.com and HoopHeadsNorth.com. Hoops Talk out of Halifax. This is episode 73. My name is Romy Aquino. I have with me.
Sean Francois, what's up? What's up?
What's up? Back from the T-Dot in Buffalo. How was the trip?
It was a good trip overall. I was glad I finally made it there. Mother Nature's not been on my side the past couple attempts to get to the six, but finally landed on Thursday night. Yeah, it was a great trip after that. So unfortunately, missed out on some awesome NBA TV Canada and real sports stuff that was happening on Thursday. But hopefully, sometime in the new year, we'll be able to regroup on that. The good news is that I'm going to be featured on a little three-man weave weekly feature that Will and Dwayne do. So that'll be tomorrow on tsn.ca. So that should be cool. Makes up a little bit for not being able to get on TV this past week.
So this is already recorded then, was it?
Yeah. So basically, the three-man weave, it's a tsn.ca feature. So it's all written. So it's basically kind of like a hot topics thing. We just kind of go around, talk about different questions, and just give our answer. So it's not video. It's written. So it'll be the column feature will be up online.
Okay. Well, that's still cool.
Yeah, I did one in the summer with them. So this will be the second time. So it should be.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And Buffalo, the football game was good?
Yes, yeah, man. I mean, for my buddy Chris, who's a huge Bills fan, been a Bills fan as long as he's been watching football, he was super excited about the win. Definitely some Packers fans in the building at Ralph Wilson Stadium that weren't too pleased, but yeah, there was a lot of cheeseheads in that stadium, that's for sure. I don't know. I would say there was a solid 25 to 30% Packers fans that were there. Maybe a little bit more, but there was definitely solid representation from Packers.
Nice.
But they went home. They went home sorry, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the Raptors. Let's get into it. I mean, obviously you were there on Friday against when the Raptors played Indiana. So kind of like tell me your experience at the ACC when you were at the game.
Yeah, no, electric. Nobody left their seats, really. Nobody was leaving early. The entire stadium was packed. We sat in the upper bowl. There was 8 of us that went together, and we all sat in the upper bowl. And the entire section was packed. There wasn't a free seat to be seen. Everyone was just excited about the team, cheering throughout. As you know, Romy, there's not really a bad seat in the house at the Air Canada Centre. You really get a good good viewpoint of the court, and the fan engagement teams and the people doing the giveaways and stuff. They went out of their way to really involve the upper bowl and stuff. Whether it was like they were giving at one point, LG was doing like Blu-ray machine giveaways, and they were giving out machines up in the upper bowl as well. Shout out to our homegirl Kat. She came up into the upper bowl as well, and I got to see her for a hot minute. So it was great to be able to catch up with the old Raptor Space crew. Shout out to Akil as well. Unfortunately, didn't get to see Akil this past weekend, but the atmosphere at the Air Canada Centre is definitely hopping. I think it's always been good, but obviously now with the team just taking their game to another level, and still sitting atop the Eastern Conference, you can definitely feel the support throughout the city. And you just see it in the streets too. It's like Maple Leafs who, you know what I mean? it's the Raptors that are really the buzz of the city right now. I mean, it's like anything.
Yeah.
Winning cures all ills, as they say, right? And that's kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the ACC's always had a good crowd. I mean, any game that I've been, most of the times I've seen the Raptors, I mean, they've been pretty bad. They've been a pretty bad team, and they still get good support. So I can only imagine between last year and this season, the crowd is probably just, at another level compared to what it was like in the previous years.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, so 106-94 the win against Indiana. We kind of expected Toronto to take care of teams like in Indiana who've been kind of struggling, and they kind of I thought Roy Hibbert might be a problem, but he had an off night. I think he had maybe 6 points on the night. JV had the better of that matchup with 10 points and 14 rebounds. Lou Williams had a big night, 26 points. How was it to shout Lou from the stands?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Definitely. I mean, you could tell the fans are into it. Every time he basically touched the rock, was letting shots go and making them. He was really getting that crowd support. So no, that was great for sure. And again, it's not. You just see that everyone who's at the games are completely invested into the team, cheering for them. Really trying to get on the opposing team as well. Things just seem to have ratcheted up a notch from the past few times I've been at the ACC for a Raptors game, and you see it on TV too. You can just tell definitely everybody's all in for the Raps right now.
What do you think of? They've made a bit of a lineup change with DeMar, but putting Landry Fields, who's been kind of like the 11th, 12th man on the bench, then all of a sudden in the starting lineup. How do you like him? Not just in this Indiana game, but the past few games. How do you like that addition?
Yeah, not bad at all. He came in as a starter for the first time against and he's been a solid mainstay since then. So the Raptors have gone on a little streak here, winning streak, 4 games. And I think that's worked out pretty well. It utilizes his assets. He's not a guy that's necessarily going to look for his shot. He's a guy that's going to try and hustle. He's going to attack the boards, get his teammates involved, come up with some key stops. He's a solid defender. So I think it's great because it was an asset that you had on your bench that you weren't using. And I personally expected that Coach Casey was going to find a way to use Landry Fields once DeMar was out, but I was surprised that it was a solid 6 games before he put him in the lineup. I was a little surprised by that. I was expecting that even earlier, but definitely glad to see that he's getting minutes. Landry, I've said this before on Twitter many times, he's a consummate professional. I mean, to have to kind of go through that situation last year and this year where you we were in the rotation and all of a sudden find yourself completely out of the rotation, not even getting any minutes, kind of getting thrown in for the ceremonial matchup shift change and stuff like that. That's going to be tough to take. But all credit to him for sticking through it. And look at that, he's right back in the starting lineup again. I mean,
no, definitely.
I think it's been solid.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I mean, you kind of forget about him, right? Like Landry Fields is you haven't seen him play in so long, and then you see him. It's man, this guy would be starting on some NBA teams, or if not, a key part of the second unit. And just the fact that he was just sitting on the bench, not getting any run at all. And then when you see him play, then it's wow, we're that deep. Toronto's that deep that they got a guy like him that they can just plug in. Especially with a guy like DeMar going down. So yeah, I mean, I've been impressed with what he's been doing, and he's one of those guys you'll never see that he's kind of upset about it. He just, like you said, he's professional. When he's called upon, he comes in and plays. We'll go to the next game where they play the Knicks at the Madison Square Garden. Overtime win. It was a tight one, 95-90. I mean, the struggling Knicks, and Toronto didn't look that great that game, but they still came through. Lowry with 21 points. T. Ross actually had a big game with 22 points at the Madison Square Garden. Lou Will, 15 points. Patrick Patterson. Those two guys, have been incredible coming off the bench with Williams and Patterson, and just on both ends of the floor, with Patterson, and they've just it goes to show we talk about every week, but how deep this Raptors bench is and how strong the second unit is. What did you take away from that game?
Took away that the Raptors gonna win. Like you said, it wasn't pretty. It took them to overtime to get past the lowly Knicks. Knicks were at home, so of course they ramped up a little bit. But you're facing a couple former teammates in Quincy Acee and Jose Calderon, so I think that probably did some good for the Knicks from that perspective too. But at the same time, the Raptors need to make sure that they win those games, and took them a little extra to get it done, but ultimately they came up with that W. And like you said, some good performances statistically across the board for the Raptors from several players. So something that you can always take something good from maybe not the greatest win. I can always take something positive from it and try to build on it for the next one. And they seem to be able to do that.
Yeah, this is a key stretch of games because these are some games with some of the lower teams in the East, with the Knicks and Orlando, Brooklyn and Detroit. So they kind of have to get these wins and beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, because I know they're going to go on a big West Coast road swing coming up. I think just after Boxing Day, or just on the 27th. So they took care of the Knicks. Orlando 95-82. Another big win. They held Orlando to 30 points in the second half, and Orlando shot 37% from the floor. So, another good win. I don't know if you caught I'm sure you caught it, but the post game where Rod Black gave the mic to DeMar for the interview for Kyle Lowry. Did you catch that?
I did. I thought that was really cool. And, just trying to keep DeMar kind of involved a little bit. We hadn't seen him other than, his press conference a couple weeks back talking about, how the rehab process in healing is really, that's all it was at that point. It was just the healing process was going. So it was great to see it back with the team, and cheering on his fellas. I thought that was pretty cool.
It's cool, man, and I like seeing the two of them, man. Like, you can definitely see the camaraderie between the two guys, and that they genuinely they get along, and they're brothers, right? Like, it's just, and then once those guys get back on the floor, I mean, I think it's gonna really help them down the stretch, and then hopefully in the playoffs, and that they can take it to another level this season. So let's talk about last night's game against the Brooklyn Nets. It was kind of this is a game that Toronto wanted to get, I think, against Brooklyn. I know the Brooklyn team is a little bit different than the playoff team from last year, and it was also Drake night. And so what did you think? Obviously, with Drake, the starting lineups.
Yeah, I thought his little intro was better last year than it was this year. It was okay this year, but I don't know. I think he was a little more hyped up last year. He seemed to be a little subdued. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
I know. I liked it. I mean, I can't remember. I wish I'll have to rewatch the one from last year. But there was I like the babyface assassin. I think that was the big hit from his lineup announcements.
Yeah. I like that way better than the Bulldog of Bay Street. I'm not down with that one. Though.
Yeah, no, I don't like that one either.
The babyface assassin is pretty good.
And then what JV's Big Science? I think Big Science.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that one too. But yeah, the Raptors 2-0 on Drake nights, and then they got the 20th win, the quickest they've ever got 20 wins in the season, and 20th anniversary 20 wins. It's been pretty good, and then for it to be against Brooklyn, a team that they lost in Game 7 at the last second, it must have felt good for those guys to actually pull out that win against Brooklyn, even though Paul Pierce wasn't playing with them or KG, but a win against Brooklyn is definitely going to feel good for Toronto.
Oh, big time.
So what do we had? JV 16 and 10. Lowry had 20 points, and then again they were able to take care of it in the fourth quarter. That they were able to get Bruno to check in the game, which I really enjoy when he gets some playing time, and the ACC just goes nuts just when he just stands up to get in there. What are your thoughts about Bruno? And
you just love the way that the crowd really receives him. They want to see him get some burn. They want to see him kind of work his way into the lineup somehow. And you can definitely tell that the ACC is all in for Bruno Caboclo. Whenever he touches the ball, they're super excited and chanting Bruno. And even when the team doesn't have the ball, on defense, chanting Bruno instead of defense. Yeah, it's pretty great to be able to see that. Hopefully he'll be able to continue to grow and get some more opportunities. I mean, it's a bit of a tough road in the sense that he's really a practice player, right? Like he's getting his reps and kind of cutting his teeth, so to speak, in practice and trying to make the most of his in-game opportunities. Hard to really get a rhythm, when you're kind of just getting thrown in there at the end of games every once in a while. But I like the fact that he is getting some burn, and fingers crossed, there'll be more opportunities for him as the season goes along.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see him to get some like regular season run and just to see what he's capable of. I mean, we had that one game where he got some. I mean, he got a lot of fourth quarter action, but I mean, I like to see a bit more of him. But I don't know if we'll actually get to see it this season. But I mean, I'm definitely interested in what he brings to the table. And those guys are him and Bebe Nogueira. I mean, they're funny. Like I was listening to this interview. I think it was Josh Luenberg.
Yeah, he grabbed Josh's mic. Yeah.
Yeah, they did this interview, and I was listening to it last night, and it was hilarious. I mean, I'll link it up on the website, but it's good to have like guys like them. I mean, those rookies. On the team, and it seems like that everybody, like we've mentioned before, I mean, has been getting along. But yeah, this team is just still rolling. We thought we might hit a rough patch with DeMar out, but I mean, they're on a 4-game winning streak, and if they can just create a little bit of a buffer, and then they'll go on the West Coast road swing, and I'm sure they're going to struggle against some of those teams, but then hopefully at the end of that, maybe DeMar's back. I mean, I don't know. Have you heard anything in terms of a timetable for his return?
Basically, the last I saw was that it will be 2015 for sure. Just based on the non-official timelines, I would expect that he probably wouldn't be back on the court until All-Star break, and even that is, we'll have to see. But 2015, not until 2015 at the earliest. I mean, we're only a week and a half away from 2015 already. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. But so we'll see. But I'm thinking All-Star break, and even that is just probably on-court activity. And then, because he's just shooting free throws now, he's not actually doing any running or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and free throws is really just a standstill kind of thing. So we'll have to see how he progresses, but. At least he's walking around now, which is a good, really.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. So coming up for the Raptors, they play the Detroit Pistons in Detroit on Friday, and then they play the Knicks on the 21st, and then they play the Chicago Bulls on the 22nd, and then they go against. I don't have the full West Coast road swing, but I see that they play the Clippers and then Denver. The 27th, 28th, and I don't know how long the road.
Portland, then Portland, then Golden State, then Phoenix. So the game you mentioned, Romy, at home against the Knicks, out of their next 7 games, that's the only one at home. So they've got 6 of their next 7 on the road, and it's basically Chicago, and then they head west from there. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game road trip.
Yeah, so but the good thing is that they have a bit of a buffer in terms of their record. So this is, I'm guessing this is the worst part of their schedule. I wouldn't expect them to have like another big West Coast road swing for the rest of the season. So if they can come out with even if they split the games, or if they're, even if they go, like they get 3 wins maybe on that road trip. They're still looking good.
Yeah, it would be nice to see them get as many as possible, but you're 100% right. If you can come away with a few, then you're still in good shape. And I do believe you're right. They've got a 4-game road trip, coming up later this year or in 2015. But this 6-game trip that they've got coming up here is the longest of the season, I believe. So we'll see how it all shakes out to the end of the year. It's crazy because all these games we just talked about all get over by the 4th of January. So we're talking about a lot of games in a short amount of time. So we'll see how they handle this road trip over the Christmas break.
Yeah, and knock on wood and cross your fingers, but hopefully they come out without any injuries as well. I mean, especially with DeMar. So hopefully everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they come without some losses, but they're still healthy, that should be good. But we'll see how it goes. So I mean, anything else you got Raptors related that you want to talk about?
But just with regards to the fact that they pulled off a current 4-game winning streak, and immediately after DeMar was out of the lineup, right? They went, it was like they were 3-4, including the game against Dallas when he had to leave the game due to injury. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, gee, can the Raptors? What are they gonna be able to do? Like these past 4 games, the opposition hasn't been the strongest, but with these next 7 games will be a true test, I think, to see how they handle things and if they've been able to get a bit of new chemistry with the lineup that they've got, without DeRozan. So I'm definitely curious to see how things play out over the next week and a half to 2 weeks, and we'll see what the Raptors' record looks like by the end of this little road trip. Well, a long road trip.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, too, with the Raptors, I know, like, last year they were able to pull out some surprising wins, remember, against OKC and stuff. But, I mean, I think last year it was a bit different because I think the Raptors didn't have that kind of they weren't the team to beat last year. So, like, there were no
expectations really on them.
Yeah, low expectations. Now they know, I mean, I think even the teams out west are probably looking at Toronto saying that they're the top team in the East. We're going to have to bring it to another level when we play them. So I don't think the surprise wins that you saw last year against like OKC, and I can't remember was it Dallas too? I remember there was like a back-to-back where they pulled out like 2 big wins. But I think it might be tough when they play like Golden State and the teams out west and the Clippers. That they're probably going to bring their game to another level when they play Toronto.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So let's just quickly move on to the Winningtons of the week, where we talk about the top NBA Canadian NBA talent from the past week. Who you want to shout out for the Winningtons of the week?
I want to shout out your boy Corey Joseph, just because Tony Parker's been injured, and he stepped in and done an admirable job as the starting point guard, and hopefully that will just continue to get his confidence up, continue to get more minutes, and I mean, when you're playing with guys like Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili, that's always a treat. Unfortunately, Kawhi Leonard's hurt right now for the Spurs, but anytime you've got that kind of talent around you, you can only learn and get better. So I'm not wishing that Tony Parker has to be out for a long period of time, but it's nice to see that a Canadian kid is being able to step in and make his presence felt.
Yeah, did you catch that game last night? I didn't watch it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but they say it's probably one of the greatest games that in the past little while.
Yeah.
But I saw the highlights and it looked ridiculous. I mean, 2 teams like Memphis and San Antonio going to triple overtime with just trading buzzer beaters.
1-point game, that's insane. The good thing is League Pass. You can always watch it after the fact, so you have to catch up on that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. My winner of the week that I have to shout out is a guy that we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, is Kelly Olynyk. He had a career high 30 points against Philadelphia on the 15th. 30 points, 9 rebounds. Let me get the full stat line here. 1 assist, 12 of 17 from the field, 3 for 3 from free throws. He hit 3 threes, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, he filled the box score.
That's a stat stuffer line if I've ever heard of one. Yeah.
I mean, that's another news thing too, man. Rondo. If we're talking about the Celtics, it looks like he's headed to Dallas.
Quite the trade. I mean, I spoke to a couple people online just briefly about it, and the thing that I thought about is like, okay, maybe Boston didn't get the greatest return, but ultimately Rondo's a free agent at the end of the summer, so Dallas would still have to hope that they can re-sign him, So yeah, they gave up a few players, they gave up a couple of draft picks, but ultimately they don't even know if he's going to stick around. So they didn't want to put themselves in a position where they were losing assets that they're going to regret after the fact, like Jameer Nelson, Brandon Wright, Jay Crowder. Those are all solid players, but to get a talent like Rondo in return to put with the 4 other starters that the Mavericks have right now, I mean, that's a nasty, nasty starting 5 for sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty good starting 5. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how see when if that does. Is that official? Is it like?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's close, and the only reason I'm saying that at this point is because they've even been showing it on NBA.com. So NBA.com is showing it. It's pretty much done. I don't think it's official. I think there's some loose ends that need to be tied up. There may be another player or something else that may get thrown in there. But they've even been showing it as breaking news on NBA.com. So pretty confident once they show it.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And last guy I wanted to shout out is Andrew Wiggins. He was. He played against the Lakers when Kobe broke the record for third on when he passed Jordan there, and I guess all I wanted to shout out was that Kobe showed some what was the quote he said? I don't have it with me, but he had some good words for Wiggins, just kind of saying that he kind of reminded him of himself when
he first came into the league.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's good to see something like that, especially with a Canadian kid, Andrew Wiggins. So he's been playing well, and I mean, and with Jabari Parker, done for the season. Unfortunately, Wiggins might be a favorite for the Rookie of the Year as it stands now.
Yeah, let's pray that nothing happens injury-wise to Andrew, and I think you're 100% right. He can continue to work hard and stay on this path. He'll be looking good for some recognition come the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. But unfortunate news, man. It sucks when you see guys like that, like Jabari Parker, who was he was the guy that was NBA ready.
Yeah.
And, of all the rookies in Milwaukee, they've been playing well, and they have some good young talent on that team, and unfortunately, we won't get to see Parker for the rest of the season.
No, he's out. Julius Randle, and there's a whole bunch of guys right now from that draft class. Obviously, Joel Embiid was already hurt, and you've got guys who are nursing injuries now. Doug McDermott's hurt right now. Marcus Smart has been, off and on with some injuries. You got a lot of guys. You know what I mean? Noah Vonleh is hurt. Who else? Aaron Gordon, from the Orlando Magic. So all these guys, coming into their first year and are just, the draft class for 2014 is kind of a mess right now. But injury, it's part of the game, but at the same time, I don't know. There might be something to it. That's something we're going to talk about actually in the 3-man weave on tsn.ca tomorrow to plug that a little bit, just because it's such a hot topic, and it's one of those things where you see it saw it happen to Derrick Rose. Right now, he's considered injury prone, but before his first injury, he was never hurt before, not in high school, not in college, and not in the pros, right? He won a Rookie of the Year, he won NBA MVP. Kobe Bryant, like an Iron Man, like he was rarely ever hurt all that many seasons, and then all of a sudden he blows his knee out too. So all these different players that are kind of coming down with these ACL injuries, and you just wonder, is it something? Obviously, Randall was a broken leg, but still, these major injuries. Is it something that's happening with the pressure and power that the players have, and the fact that our actual anatomy and body frame hasn't really changed over time? We still have the same bodies we had before. Sports science is improving, but is there something to it there, or is it just a fluke? I think it's probably a combination, but it's an interesting topic.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. That is definitely interesting. So, Yeah, so you guys, that'll be on the three-man weave?
Yeah, three-man weave on tsn.ca tomorrow. So basically, it's a weekly column. Sometimes it's a little more or less frequent that Will and Dwayne, one-on-one with Will and Dwayne, do, and they just kind of invite a fellow writer, blogger, or other radio personality to jump on and just discuss various topics that are happening in the NBA right now, and that's one of the ones we're going to tackle this week. So I'll be curious to hear what Will and Dwayne have to say about it as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool, man. So that's it for the podcast. Are you all ready for Christmas, man? Are your shopping's done?
Well, my wife just got the tree tonight, and so it's up. Not decorated, but most of the Christmas shopping is complete. Still got to get some smaller things, but getting there. How about you?
Yeah, man. I'm doing better than I've done in previous years. Years, I'm always like a last-minute shopper during that last week.
You have said that before. Like you're like on the 24th, you're out at the stores, right?
Yeah, like it's usually the last couple of days, but I know what I have to get, and I'm always able to get it. But I got a head start this year, so I think I'm all set. There's a few things that I still have to get. But for the most part, all the big stuff is bought. So maybe I'll be at the malls this weekend, and then hopefully I'm done.
Nice. Well, you know what that's all about. That's having an older kid now. See, when the baby's really young, you probably still get away with that a little bit, but now you've got more things that you got to do with him, and like you don't have maybe as much free time. You got to try and balance it all out. So yeah, look at that. That's the evolution of Romy Aquino right there.
Exactly.
Before our very eyes.
Yeah, so that's it. We probably won't do a podcast. I would guess not next week because obviously it's gonna be the Christmas break and we'll all be pretty busy. So
it'll actually be Christmas Day, the 25th.
The 25th. That's true.
Yeah, basketball to watch actually.
Yeah, so maybe the following week we can hook up for another quick podcast while the Raptors are on this quick road trip. But until then, happy holidays for all you listeners and watchers on YouTube. You want to shout out anyone, Sean?
Not particularly, just season's greetings to our listeners, readers. All the support is very much appreciated. And happy holidays to all the basketball lovers out there for sure.
Yeah, happy holidays. That is episode 73. We out.